And today we have for you, as promised yesterday, from the wonderful folks at Hopscotch, this Chorlton Whiskies Caol Ila 18-year-old. Just under 51% ABV, ex-bourbon hogshead. It's a very old Caol Ila at cask strength. I used to love the old bottling of Caol Ila 18. Even the box that used to come in with that black sort of mountainous thing with the sun either setting or rising behind it, had that beautiful orange sort of canva on the back of it. I really do miss that bottle. A lot of you watching this might not know who Chorlton Whiskies are. Chorlton Whiskies are an independent bottling company set up really close to me. I'm in Salford in Manchester. Chorlton is literally half an hour south from where I am. And it's run by David, and he's run the company for a very long time. And he's bottled some of the most impressive independent things I've tried in the last couple of years. A lot of really cool Ben Nevis's, Rostu's, Caol Ila. He's recently bottled an STR Nick Neon, which has got a lot of praise from also like the whiskey community. So he's brilliant. If you've never heard of him before, check them out on Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Get some of their products, try them if you can. A wonderful way to try them is by doing it this way. Caol Ila. You all know quite a lot about Caol Ila already, I imagine. Biggest distillery on Islay. They probably produce more than 7 million litres of whiskey now. A mixture of peated and unpeated. Probably the first Islay whiskey I ever knowingly tried. No, that's a lie. The first one was Lefroy 10. Probably the first Islay whiskey I tried that I actually liked, because it's peaty, but it also has some sweetness to it. It can be quite creamy, it can be quite lemony. It's peated without being too intense, which I think a lot of people like. But I think we should just crack on with this, to be honest with you. This would cost you, from Hopscotch's website, £12 for 25 millilitres. Which for a cask strength 18-year-old whiskey, I don't think is bad at all. Now, much like the other ones, I'm going to try and get the focus a little bit better. Try and give you guys an idea of the body on this. And look at that. It's like a stained glass window. The other fun thing about this is it's a bourbon hogshead. I've tried a lot of independent Caol Ila, most of it coming from either first fill bourbon, a little bit from hogsheads, but they were never this old. Some of them from sherry, one of them from a Madeira cask. I think having such old spirit, old peated spirit in a hogshead is quite interesting. So I'm hoping to pick up more of a funkier, spirity style than a very cask influenced style. But let's have a go. Instantly, you are just transported to a beach. Sea spray, salt in the air, that kind of wet rock, wet sand aroma. There's little kind of flecks of vanilla and caramel, like over the top. I remember the original Caol Ila 18, it was very much a crossover between like a fishing boat and a dessert platter. This is very much putting you on what feels like the end of the world, just big roaring sea. Maybe a storm's just passed. The smoke and the peat, it's coming across certainly more salty than it is medicinal or even smoky for that matter. There's like a note of a distant barbecue, but this is certainly those dry, oily macadamia nuts, white chocolate, lemon zest. But let's taste it. 18-year-old Caol Ila. It's been a very long time since I've tried a Caol Ila this old. I told myself I wouldn't need to buy any more whiskey this year, but I might have to buy that. Retail for that bottle, I think, is about £120. It's available from a couple of local retailers near me, and I think through Hopscotch as well. Bear with me. Hopscotch themselves have it for £119. I think I found my Christmas whiskey, even though it's only August. That is one of the most mellow, interestingly complex styles of Islay whiskey that I've ever come across. The first sip, it greets you with this oiliness, very rich in texture. And then you get these little flakes of what we were talking about. There's lemon and there's white chocolate, there's some dry, like nutty oiliness to it. And then it just kind of stops, it almost freezes, and it just rolls you around the coast of Islay. You get this saltiness, this wet stone, damp sand, smell of salt in the air. It just keeps on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. It's almost interrupted by what I would say is the aroma of like pickled jalapeno, the salty, briny, slightly spiciness, which is probably just coming from the ABV of the product and the time in the barrel, despite the barrel not being the most sort of intense in terms of its influence. Then it brings you back into sweetness, which was a really interesting refrain. It went from salty, briny, pickled jalapeno into Again, white chocolate and lemon, quite a culinary driven style. And whilst it's doing all this, the peat smoke kind of sits quite high on your palate, and it's almost like the calm of the sea underneath a massive storm. You've got this peat kind of rolling around, giving you that classic West Coast Islay flavour. And then all of these other things kind of happening underneath that you're blissfully unaware of when you see waves raging on a beach. That is exceptional. I've seen this in a couple of retailers when I've been for tastings and things. I've been like, David's bottled that, I know it's going to be good. And it really quite is. That is honestly a bottle of whiskey that you and family or friends, if you're into it, could sit with for a very long time of an evening, just after you finished a wonderful meal, talking absolute nonsense until the early part of the morning. That is very much a whiskey that you could build fantastic memories of, which is a phrase I don't think I've ever said before. So that speaks leaps and bounds, you know. I'm going to add a bit of water to it, because we need to keep it consistent with this. Everything we've ordered, 4 out of 5 of what we've ordered are cask strength. I'll just add a tiny bit. So a little bit of water in there, because I'm going to end up buying it anyway, so it doesn't matter right now. Weirdly enough, it smells smokier with water. That's interesting. And unlike the Caol Ila, it doesn't really appear to have killed the body on it. We can see this has still got quite an oiliness to it, but this is obviously double the age of the Caol Ila. Even if it is in a lesser influential barrel. White chocolate and hazelnut macadamia thing, like fresh cotton, becomes a lot drier. But something that is exacerbated is the jalapeno note. And the jalapeno and the salt. They're kind of vying for who gets to lead the palate. It's an incredible finish, even with water. I don't typically like whiskey with water. I only do it for the sake of experimentation. But the finish feels even longer with water, which is an odd thing to say. Just wonderful. Just a really, really good bottle of whiskey. I honestly thought we wouldn't have a lot of contenders for Whiskey of the Year. And when I first saw this, I kind of thought to myself, this will either be fantastic or it'll be a bit of a letdown. I'm happy to say it's quite fantastic in a way that is complex but mellow, and has for me all of the fun things about old Islay whiskey without necessarily pushing the intensity of it just being smoky and dry. The one thing that is missing, which I do associate more with older peated whiskey, is those more tropical fruit notes. But I imagine because this is hogshead, or a hogshead maturation, you're going to get less of that. Those tropical fruit notes are going to come from a long time in probably first fill bourbon, sometimes second fill bourbon. A hogshead, it can be different staves from different barrels that have had different lifetimes, so you don't really know. But yeah, the only point that's missing from this is those tropical notes of mango and pineapple. Outside of that, it's a pretty exceptional bottle of whiskey. That's getting a solid 9 out of 10 from me. That is absolutely divine. I'm going to add it to the Whiskey of the Year list. And unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to buy one at some point. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time for, let's pick one at random. Let's go for this one. Green River Wheated Bourbon. But if this has captured your interest in any way, do check out the link below. It'll take you straight to Scotch's website, where you can look at their dram delivery service. You can buy full-size bottles, which I've just found out about, and you can also just get a little single measure to your front door as well. But yes, do check that out below, and I'll see you tomorrow for some wheated bourbon. Cheers.